Hello everybody and welcome to today's Talking Reds. We're here in our rather swanky new studio here recording today's edition. And I've got a new partner once again. I've got Mr. Andy Heaton here.
Hey mate, you okay?
Is this your Talking Reds debut?
I think it is, mate, yeah.
Okay.
I think it is, yeah. Right down the bottom of the list, but, no one else was available, so soz about me.
See, I mean, I was totally going to try and big you up and say, you know what, well, all those lot are still sleeping off whatever it is they've done. You're the hard-working one who's here, putting the work in, day out, so...
Someone's got to get the paper out.
Yeah, it's true. Someone has got to get the paper out. So. Now, obviously, we didn't do any recording yesterday with it being a special day marking the Heysel. So today we get a chance to speak about something that we haven't had a chance to speak about for a while. Liverpool signed a player. Liverpool signed a new player. Whoop, 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 whoop. And he's good. He's very good. And not only is he very good, he's a player who specialises in the number 6 position, which is something that I think a lot of us have given up on the idea of the club buying someone specifically for that position. But it seems like he's pulled one over on us all again, Andy.
Well, yeah, I think he's replaced Emre Can before Emre Can's even left. Well, not even replaced, upgraded, yes. If you go on the reports and what people are saying. No, I like it. He's big, he's rangy. I'm not going to pretend we know everything about him, like everyone on Twitter knows everything, but, you know, it's one of them. But you can see that the lad likes a tackle, doesn't he?
He does.
And he likes a tactical foul, and I think we've missed that. I mean, one of the things I've always said, we've had this conversation before about, we lack smarts sometimes. We lack a little bit of, some people call it guile, some people call it snide, but, you know.
We'd like someone to get someone else's players in an arm lock and drag them to the floor, you mean?
Couldn't possibly comment.
Right, okay, yeah, no, that's fair enough. No, in all seriousness though, I think one of my favourite things about this transfer is the fact that it literally came out of, ta-da, nowhere. Because a lot of the rumblings were, people knew that we were trying to get something sorted after the Champions League final, just in case it didn't go well, so you can say, hello, we didn't win, but look, this is the future. And people thought that was going to be Fekir. I think a lot of people were thinking that Fabinho was being touted by other people. Some even thought that Monaco wouldn't let him go because he's been so vital to the way they play in terms of tempo. But no, we've managed to pull another rabbit out of our hat.
It's a curious one, isn't it? I mean, the fact that the deal was done so quick. Well, you don't know how long it's been going, but just under the cover of everything, the Monaco president's come out with a really complimentary attitude towards Liverpool, towards the club. So you can't deny, and I've knocked the transfer panel before, but they played the blinder on this one. They had the blinder last summer. I'm curious though as to whether it was going to be a Bank Holiday Monday reveal, because what was interesting is the moment. I think what's happened is the moment the deal's been signed, phone calls have gone back and gone, right, it's done, because the reports were coming from France. They weren't anywhere in the UK, none of the ITKs, lads, or anything like that. Knew anything, totally out the blue. Gets reported in France, and literally within half an hour, it's all announced, but the photographs and the videos had already been done.
Yes.
All that kind of stuff. He's posting about it on Instagram. So that was great. And you know what? It doesn't get over what happened at the weekend.
No.
But it's a bit of a tonic.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a tonic. And also it shows the benefit. Everyone was saying, oh, well, what's the point of getting to a Champions League final if you're going to lose it? Well, there's the point. You've got players looking at that going, I want to be part of that.
Exactly.
I want to be part of that. And this Liverpool team, it's so brilliant in so many places, but you know, one of the advantages it's got as well, its flaws are so obvious. It's not like there's other teams like, so Man United, how can you improve Man United? Well, it's a bit of a difficult question because they've got a massive squad. You know, whereas Liverpool have got a way of playing, they've got an ethos, you've got an idea, you know what a Liverpool side looks like, and you know what needs to be done to improve it.
Yeah, and you can tell from that Klopp has been spending a long time thinking about exactly how he's going to put the pieces together. Because don't forget, he's known we're going to have Naby Keita for a long time. He's known he's going to have to integrate him and what he does well.
Another snide, by the way.
Oh yeah, king snide. So now you've got that. You know, over the course of this season, we've seen the kind of things we can expect from the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain, who seems to have settled in really nicely. Milner and Henderson are obviously still reliable, and you've still got Genie there as well. So he's seen what he can get from everywhere else, so he knows what that missing piece of the puzzle has to be.
Well, the reports were saying February. They started talking about this in February, which You know, it isn't, because too often you got the sense with Liverpool that so many transfers were either knee-jerk or either players who played well against us, you know, oh, we'll have him, or it's been like a last-minute reaction to something. I mean, you look at the fallout from when Suarez was sold, there was like, oh, we'll try and get Alexis Sanchez. No, what should have happened is you should ensure you get Alexis Sanchez before you do anything.
Exactly. And I mean,
future-proofing.
Even Coutinho, at the time when we sold him and there was no one coming in directly in that window, it was sold as seen as like, oh yeah, well, Liverpool have been caught on the hop here. Now, it might have just been that they were so keen and they were so sure of who they wanted that they were willing to do like Van Dijk and wait the time out in the process. But it's also interesting because we think that how big Thomas Lamar was in this conversation at that point and how he's kind of just disappeared off of our radar. And the difference between how he's reacted to all of the success Monaco have had and all of the glare on them compared to Fabinho and how he's reacted, I think is another really good thing, because Klopp's talked a lot about his attitude as a man and how he reacts, and we all know that he puts really good importance on those things. So in the context of what happened on Saturday, having another guy in who has that kind of grit, has that attitude, has that belief. I don't know if any of you listened to the show that the Bus Boys, as I now call them, did on the way back about Fabinho. But Dan Austin tells a really good story about Fabinho going in for one of his teammates, protecting him against the crowd. And it's all of those kind of things that feed in that are making me excited that we're fixing those really obvious flaws that you mentioned.
Doing things not for show, doing it for with legitimacy.
Yes.
I mean, when you talk about that, I always remember, I tell you who was brilliant at that, Alonso. He was never regarded as a narc or anything like that, but he was always the first on the scene to calm things down, get involved, and just insert himself for the benefit of his teammates as opposed to trying to play up to the crowd, which is what a lot of players do.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't hurt that he's a big lad as well, because I mean, if you've got...
Bring on the groks.
Yeah, if you've got a kind of a little scrappy bite your ankles Naby Keita running around, it's causing all troubles. If you then got a massive Fabinho to come over and kind of protect him, I kind of like that as a double act.
There seems to be a theme evolving with this Jurgen Klopp side. They're either really, really short, or it's like a Father Ted sketch, close, far away. Really, really tall, really, really short.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're 5'10", 5'11", you got no chance, mate.
Good luck to whoever's filming next year's team photo, by the way. But I want to highlight something else about this come out, because there's been a few extra stories, like Sir Simon Hughes and Mel have kind of given us a few extra tidbits from the background of the story. And I'm really interested in the part of Firmino, because obviously we know that Jurgen Klopp likes to speak to prospective people, even though it's not actually allowed. You know he likes to speak to them, but...
Well, it's not allowed if you haven't got permission off the club, but
yes.
by the sounds of this...
He probably did.
Monaco have been quite happy for... So.
But Firmino, obviously with them being fellow Brazilians, they were together on a couple of international trips. And Fabinho himself has talked up his influence. Now that says two things to me. Number one, it says... hopefully he'll be doing it again with Alisson when all of them are at Anfield on Sunday for the Croatia game. And two, that sounds like a guy who's expecting to be at Liverpool for a very long time himself, Firmino. The fact that he's trying to attract other people to the project.
Well, that and he's just signed a new contract, hasn't he, Bobby? So, I mean, it's interesting, the Brazil squad. I've seen the question asked about Fabinho and the Brazil squad, and the answer to that question is actually quite easy, because he's behind Fernandinho and Casemiro for that position. Yeah. Which, you know, you're talking about two of the preeminent midfielders in world football, never mind just Brazil, so there you go. But no, it looks good. I mean, I like the fact that, you know, one of the highlights for me was Firmino signing a new contract. He looks settled. He almost seems like when we talk about leadership, but quiet leadership for show, he almost looks like, well, you get the impression he's part of that leadership group, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Within that cluster in Liverpool, so Belter, yeah, and get on to objective number 2, possibly, from that squad next week.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because we can kind of roll into it kind of nicely. There's been some new footage put out about Roma, about Alisson, about our link with him. Now, there's been a figure quoted as £79 million, and there's also been a quote from Monchi claiming that they don't want to do any business till after the World Cup. Now, it's obvious that they don't want to do business till after the World Cup because potentially they could get more from him if he performs well. But Andy, there's a problem with that, isn't there?
Potentially. And with Monty, there's always as soon as not just Monty, any agent, as soon as a price is mentioned by an agent or a sporting director, that isn't this player's not for sale.
Yeah.
That is this player's for sale, and this is the start of this is our negotiating point, and you work down. What's interesting is that Roma are amongst the list of clubs who are currently under in an FFP monitoring period and under sanction. That monitoring period expires this summer, and a part of conditions have either got to break even or show no more than net losses of 30. I don't know the specifics. Anyway, the effect of that was essentially came into effect last year with Mo Salah. They were under pressure to sell. This summer, it's been spun a little bit by Roma, but there's an intriguing detail in this. So what Roma have been saying is, well, we made 90 million euros from this year's Champions League run, we're all fine. But their FFP monitoring period ends the last day in June. That's the FFP monitoring period, ends the last day in June, which is before
the money comes in.
Any cash in the bank from the Champions League comes in. Now, obviously, Roma, no one can really say with certainty that Roma have met their obligations, and even if they haven't, there's other players. They've got a squad full of really good players. They can sell other players there. But if the player wants to move and they need to sell, you think there'd be negative pressure on that price. I find it interesting that the whole, we go back to the Butland thing when we were linked with Jack Butland for 30 to 40 million. Round about the same week when Roma were earlier talking about 60 to 80 million. It's almost like anyone could read between the lines there and, potential negotiation via the press there, setting a price point. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, on the goalkeeping situation, I just think maybe Liverpool were thinking Karius is improving, and he has improved massively, let's be fair to him. Over the last couple of months, maybe they thought they'd persevere, but I think as much for Loris Karius' sake, as much as Liverpool's now, I think he needs to move on. I just think the pressure on him going forward, it isn't fair on the lad. It's the type that can end a career. I always remember Jerzy Dudek making that mistake against Forlan. And fair enough, Dudek's career ended on the highest of highs, Istanbul. But in the period between that game and the European one, he was never ever the same keeper.
No,
he was never ever the same keeper. And I just think for a young lad at 25, can you see him getting over that?
I mean, I think personally,
he's a good goalkeeper.
He is a good goalkeeper. I think I don't want to feel like someone who has been so talented and who we have been talking up for the last few months is now instantly on the scrap heap for one game. However, what I do think might actually benefit him is if someone else comes in who is going to start the season. If an Alexander-Arnold Black, someone of that ilk comes in who we're thinking, okay, this guy's going to be our number one. Don't sell Karius. Say, look, we're still going to need you. We're still going to need him for cup games. Give him a chance to slowly rebuild his confidence and rebuild the confidence in him of the general coaching staff, fan base and players. Because I dare say some of the players are probably thinking the same things that we're playing as well. Whether they'd say that in reality or not.
The problem you've got with that is that you'd essentially, you could harm his career.
It could harm.
So if we go out and sign an Oblak or an Alisson or any of the list of the 5 or 6, 7 elite keepers in world football, then Karius isn't going to get a look in regardless, even as like a Cubs keeper, whatever. What's his next move? He wants to be playing first team football. If fresh start after this, look, sometimes just a fresh start, rebuild your career, come back stronger. And look, I think it's accepted that Simon Mignolet's probably on the move anyway this summer as well. So, clean sweep. It's a chance for a clean break, and then we see where we are. And I say that with no malice whatsoever, because I genuinely feel sorry for them.
I mean, anyone who watched the game and has got over their disappointment and isn't genuinely feeling sorry for the lads, then I give your head a wobble, seriously. I mean, I'd be interested to talk to you at a later date in a longer school about the possibility of a loan away, maybe a year away, maybe even a year away back in Germany, give them a chance to rebuild. But we'll talk about that later. We've got some papers to get onto now. So we've got the papers today. Something a little bit off the cuff, first of all. I really like this outfit. I'm not going to lie. I really like this outfit. I know that's not what we're meant to be talking about, but it kind of caught my eye there. So Yeah, back to football. Now, we've been speaking mainly LFC stuff today, but there's something else that's happened recently that I really would like to talk about because I think it's kind of interesting. Frank Lampard looks like he's about to become the new manager of Derby County. Now, obviously, Frank Lampard's in a very similar situation to Steven Gerrard in as much as he's someone who's been long mooted as being potentially a coach, who's been long mooted as wanting to coach his old club. He's now got to find his way to there. Now, Gerrard started in Scotland, admittedly a big team, but one that's kind of got a hand behind their back. Now, in the Championship, Derby are probably one of the biggest teams there, at the top, around the top, for quite some time. Haven't quite been able to get over the hump. So, in a similar situation, if he does what everyone else has been trying to do, then that elevates it quickly. What do you make of it? Do you think it's a good signing for Derby? Do you think it's a good signing for Lampard?
I think it's a good move for the player. Mm-hmm. Well, the player, I think it's a good move for Lampard. I mean, you always hated him as a player, didn't you? But I mean, since he's gone into the commentary, he's always seemed really intelligent, switched on, considered. You know, doesn't tend to over-exaggerate or overblow things, unlike some fella who once managed Valencia for a week and got sacked. Hiya, Gary. You know, Derby's a good club. It's got history. They've got a good owner. Mel Morris is there. They've got a less good comms department, but less said about that, the better. Hiya, Paul. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, the spotlight's going to be more on Lampard. Well, it's an interesting one. In England,
yes.
The spotlight will be on, you think it'd be more on Frank than it would be on Stephen at Rangers. I mean, obviously north of the border, that's completely different, but I think if you're talking about in the round of maybe English clubs taking notice when they're looking to recruit in 12 to 18 months' time, is what's the bigger achievement? Is stabilising Rangers and getting them challenging or even potentially winning the SPL a bigger achievement than getting Derby back into the Premier League? Who's going to take more notice of what? Yeah,
and on the flip side of that, if it goes wrong for them, which damage is going to be more long-lasting in a potential situation, because we have seen that with our mate Gary, of course. That if you go big and it doesn't go well, then it's really hard to get back in. So I'll be definitely keeping an eye on the developments.
Well, I mean, look, Steve, if it works out for Stephen at Rangers, then he's a hero.
Yeah.
You know, it's a massive achievement. And if it doesn't, and I'm not saying, look, I've got no real affinity to either. I mean, I'm more Celtic than Rangers, but I'm not. But given Rangers' recent history, if it does fail, there's a million reasons why it could fail, and not solely because of Steven Gerrard. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do know the reason that the delay in announcing him as manager in that weird 4 or 5 days was Stephen's team negotiating really, really hard. I know he's gone up there, he's took Jordan, he's took one of the physios up from the academy there. Yeah. And there's going to be an announcement soon about another member of the academy staff who'll be following him up. So he's doing it on his own, very much on his own terms. I imagine he believes he's got the finance to compete. I mean, Steven Gerrard, the will to win in him, he's not just going to take that job just because to coast.
No. And I mean, he's had chances before, hasn't he? So yeah. There was obviously the stuff
MK Dons,
and there's been a couple of others. And interesting with Frank Lampard, he was in talks with Ipswich Town last week, and it seems to have been a figure of terms. Now, terms to a lot of people says money, but it could also mean coaching staff.
These fellas don't need the money.
No, they don't.
These fellas don't need the money. It's with the conditions in which they will operate in.
Exactly. And when you think about Derby as a club, who have unfortunately built up a bit of a reputation as being someone who goes through managers quite quickly, they thought that they had actually found their guy that they were going to stick with for a long time, because Gary Rowett had done very well for them. He's obviously been poached by Stoke, who are looking to get back there. So from that perspective, Lampard's not really on as much of a hiding to nothing, because he's replacing a guy who was popular. But I still think that he's got enough goodwill within him to be able to carry it.
It's the contacts these fellas bring with them as well.
Yes, it's true. Whether or not it would be getting a few Chelsea youngsters into their team over the course of loan, for example.
Well, just even people throughout the game. I mean, you forget Frank went up to Man City as well. Mm-hmm. You know, so forge those relationships, maybe open a few doors that might have previously been closed. I mean, interesting to talk about England midfielders. I use the word England internationals loosely. Joey Barton at Fleetwood Town. We should have a...
If we're going to talk about Joe Barton and Fleetwood Town, we might start talking about Lebo at Charlton. We're not going to.
Isn't it funny, like the size of the jobs kind of mirrored the standings in the game? Anyway, different show, that one.
Yeah, very different show. So I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing how this is played out. I'm not going to quite say good luck because, you know, that rivalry is still a little bit there, but I'll be keeping an eye on how Frank gets on. Now, speaking of how we're getting on, as I say, the guys from the bus, they're all back in England. None of them are useful for anything at the moment, but I'm sure that in fact, we're recording another show as we speak in the other room, so there's going to be more shows coming out over the course of the next couple of days here at the Anfield Wrap. So we'll be slowly getting back to what you normally expect from us. But yeah, we'd like to thank you all for sticking with us and for showing your support to us in however way you can over the course of this Champions League run and this whole season. And we're going to be looking forward to the World Cup. We're going to be doing loads of stuff about the World Cup. I suspect some of you will be more excited about it than others, but there's going to be plenty of transfer talk as well in there. So it's going to be exciting summer. Up the rest.